Why is Afterlife so popular? Afterlife has been trending at #1 on Netflix since it came out, and I thought it would be worth taking a dive into the show and looking at why the show is so popular. So, let's find out. Here is why is Afterlife so popular. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. I think there are multiple reasons as to why this show has had the success that it's had. Ricky Gervais is notorious for bringing out shows that climb to heights like no other, within a short amount of time on multiple occasions. With the likes of Derek, Extras and The Office, he has a catalogue that is filled with award-winning stories and characters that can stand the test of time. Afterlife, however, feels like it's slightly different to the previous shows that we've seen from him. It's not the mockumentary style that we're used to, like what we see with Derek and The Office, and we see this show touch on a more serious matter with the camera not being acknowledged at all. We're watching this story unfold as a true viewer and a fly on the wall. I think the show's success mainly comes off of the fact that we're watching real life. Although people like to escape reality by watching a world that is far unreachable and as far away from what day-to-day life is like, people do like watching real life. Real people and real situations, and when the delivery and execution of that makes it feel like you're not watching fiction, it becomes all the more watchable. We're watching the life of a man who has lost his wife and is battling with an abundance of things: depression, alcoholism, and also suicidal thoughts. The character Tony has gone through a lot, and although an extremely angry individual, there are elements of the character that you and I would be able to relate to in some way. Whether it be down to the loss of somebody, the sadness that he feels, or the small petty things that he gets angry with, like somebody driving through a zebra crossing when you're standing there. These are things that hook the viewer in, we latch onto the relatability, and we're able to both empathize and sympathize with him. It's that I don't give a damn attitude about life or what anyone thinks of me. It's quite infectious. The show does a really good job in balancing the conversation of death, happiness, and comedy. It would be very easy for a show that's sole narrative is centered around the topic of a man losing his wife and struggling with his very existence on a daily basis to be sad and depressing to watch. But it twists it on its head, and although at points it being extremely emotional, it's also inspiring to watch the journey of Tony, and also at its core, it's a comedy. So we spend lots of time laughing at the way he behaves and interacts with people. The use of videotapes on his laptop I think were a great way of making Lisa feel like a character, and being able to see her on screen added weight in being able to understand what Tony was going through, and seeing just how happy he was before. We saw the contrast of Tony on screen. The cast in the show really support Tony and the overall tone of the show. We have Lenny, who is quite the opposite, content with life wherever he's at. We've got Tony's brother-in-law who went through the same loss as what he did, but in a completely different way. We have Kath, who is almost the female equivalent of Tony in some parts. We've got Brian, who provides complete and utter comic relief and is one of the funniest parts of the show. We've got Anne, who is the person that grounds Tony. And we've got Emma, who helps with his personal development and allows him to tap into the person he once was on occasions. The cast are perfectly chosen and all play their roles extremely well. There are moments of monologues where they speak with him directly, and they can quite often be some of the most powerful moments in the episode. The cast are also a strong reason as to why the show is as good as what it is. The music selection in the show is also something that I think serves its purpose well. It's a show that when I think of scenes, I can also think of the songs that they played in the background. This show really is the definition of why music is included in a TV show. It supports what we're watching on screen, adds to the moment, and aids in evoking the right emotion Ricky Gervais wanted us to feel at that present time. Whilst I'm on the topic of time, many shows don't really provide a concept of it, and this one doesn't really. However, it feels like every episode feels like a different day. A month doesn't pass, nor does a year, but it feels like we genuinely watch a week in the life of Tony every season that gets released. We dip in for 6 episodes and we jump straight back out. The final thing that I'm going to touch on with this show is the ending. Gervais did the smart thing with the ending of the show, and ended it in a way where it was essentially a new beginning for every character on screen. Whilst an ending for us, each member was embarking on a new adventure as we were departing from the town that Tony lived in. We saw their trials and tribulations over the 3 seasons, and in the end, we see them all go on to bigger and better things, with Tony being in the best mental state that he's been in since the show started, making a positive impact on people's lives, and realizing that he has a life that's worth living. The journey of Tony and the characters is also a fundamental reason as to why this show is so successful and popular. Afterlife is like no other, and the reasons I just mentioned are why I believe it's so popular and so successful. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.